Okay, I'm starting the stream now. And we're live on YouTube.
Hello, and welcome to today's panel on Christmas. I'm your moderator, Melissa Keir, and I'm here with some fabulous authors, and we're going to talk about writing Christmas stories. So let's begin first with Nathan Burgoine. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and your books and what's going on in your life.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nathan Burgoine. I jokingly call myself the tall queer guy who writes mostly short queer fiction. My Christmas romances, I've done 2 Christmas romances so far, Handmade Holidays and Faux Ho Ho. First one's kind of a found family romance, and the second one is playing a little bit with the fake relationship trope. Yeah, why did I write Christmas romances? I mostly wrote Christmas romances because, and we'll probably get into a little bit more later, but because I didn't see any Christmases in romance that were anything close to what I have. So I'll stop there. I'll let you move on to the next person, but that was the biggest motivation.
All right, thank you, Nathan. And Hildie McQueen.
So hello, I'm Hildie McQueen, and I write medieval Highlander romance as well as Western historical romance. And I haven't really, written that many Christmas stories, but when I did, I wrote a bride for a Christmas story called Christina at Christmas Bride. It is a mail order bride that just happens that her story is around Christmas time. And then I wrote another Christmas book, and which is a Highlander medieval one. And I'm about to write a third one, and it's also going to be Highlander medieval, which is kind of strange because it's not really Christmas in medieval times. It's called something else, Hogmanay. But at the same time, the holiday books are so much fun to write. I think that's one of the motivations for writing them, is because it's something that everybody can relate to, and we are expecting gifts and surprises. And what is better than a romantic surprise or a romantic gift during the holidays?
Thanks, Hildie. Elle Rush, what do you have to share with us today?
I write sweet and low heat romances, contemporary, and I got into Christmas romances because I OD'd on the Hallmark Channel one year and I never quite got over it. Also, it's my mom was a huge Christmas person. So with all the ornaments and music and recipes and stuff I had, it just seemed like a lot of fun. Mine are set across Canada, and then I've just finished the 5th one, so I'm trying to figure out when to release it in the fall.
Well, thanks, Elle. And I'm Melissa Keir, and I write contemporary romances, small town romances. And the couple that I've written take place in, one takes place in my small town of Amherst, Ohio, where I grew up, and it's part of my Wilder Sisters series. And then I also have one in my Whisper, Colorado series that takes place where the characters from a previous book are experiencing a Christmas happily ever after. So it's something that just appeals to me with that time of year. So let's get into another question here. So I think, Hildie, you started on this and hit on it, but let's talk about what is it about Christmas that makes a great setting or period for us to write about? And we're going to start with Nathan.
Okay, so for me, I love to write queer fictions to begin with, and queer romances at all. So very often you can take almost any trope, and as soon as you make it queer, it changes on a fundamental level. So for me, Christmas holiday stories are so often all about how important family is and how gatherings are. But for a lot of queer people, it's not like that at all. So for me, the biggest drive to write Handmade Holidays especially was to sort of circumvent some of that story about how family is everything and put that message in there that your found family can be everything. And that's just as valid, just as important, and making your own traditions when the family ones kind of fall apart. And did it with Faux Ho Ho a little bit. Faux Ho Ho has sort of the dial turned a little bit further down, where he's still in contact with his family, but it's never comfortable. So going home for the holidays for him is something he has to sort of gird his loins and he doesn't want to do it. And he tries to weasel out of it at Thanksgiving, which is when his roommate steps up and pretends to be his boyfriend and says, "Oh, no, we have plans for Thanksgiving with my family." And his parents are kind of nonplussed by that and they don't want to talk about it. So it works until his sister decides to get married at Christmas and invites them both. And so that's sort of the setup for Fo Ho Ho. But again, for me, Christmas, for a lot of the ways I approach romance is to sort of look at those tropes and go, yes, but if I do it with some queer people, what changes?
It's so much fun. And I think that found family is so important because even in a traditional family situation, there are sometimes you just can't be around your family for whatever reason. I'm not telling you. Anyway, Hildie, what about you? Why do you think writing in a Christmas is such an important part or a setting for a story?
Oh, one of the things about Christmas time is people are looking for some distraction away from what you said. You know, there's so many expectations placed on Christmas nowadays. Like certain things have to be done by certain times, and I think the escape of a Christmas story is always a welcome thing. I also think that because everybody is also in the festive mood, people are they're a little bit feeling gay about everything and how it's going. They welcome the idea of a romantic story more, especially during that time. I think it opens up for readers who normally don't read our genres also because they're like, well, this is a short, happy time and we're going to read romance. And especially with the Hallmark Channel, you see how voracious people are about wanting to see those feel good stories.
That Hallmark Channel is just making millions off of those Christmas stories. Elle Rush, what do you want to share about writing during Christmas time or writing stories about Christmas?
Two of the things I really like about writing at Christmas time, the first is the food, because all the special recipes come out, and I actually try to put those into my books, just because it's something I enjoy doing. It's something other people enjoy either making or eating. And I find writing at Christmas time, it's a little easier to push the envelope of how far people will go to be kind to each other. The spirit's already out there. People are, it's the time of year that people will go a little bit further to help the community, to help their neighbor. And I just want to say, see, here it is. If you do the smallest thing, it could help somebody in a big way that you don't even know about.
Yeah, that's so important. Have you ever thought about putting all of your recipes together now and doing a recipe book for all of your stories that you have included your recipes in?
I have, and I did.
Awesome.
They're not strictly related to the Christmas book, but I think all the Christmas recipes might be in my holiday Christmas book, or sorry, my holiday cookbook.
There you go. It's always a great time because people read your stories and they're like, oh man, I want to know how to make that. Oh, that sounds so good. So it's perfect. All right. And so for me, Christmas was always that time when magic happened. There was going to different grandparents' houses and watching the lights and driving around town. And so it was always that time when we all came together. We all were on our very best behavior because Santa was watching. And we looked toward that happy ending of presents or seeing family and friends and watching some of those favorite TV shows like the claymation ones. So I think that is so important for me to share with my readers is those feelings that I remember or the feelings that I had during my Christmases growing up. So I like to be able to write about those and include those feelings because it's such a short period of time in our lives. And, if we can touch somebody's life by our books, then hey, that's 100% worth it. So next question. So because we write stories about Christmas, not at Christmas time, what are some things that you do to get yourself in the mood? What are some things that make it hard or easier to write as you're writing Christmas stories in maybe June or April? So we're going to start with Nathan.
Um, okay, so for me, one of the things I have to admit, I tend to start writing my Christmas stories in January when the Christmas malaise has started to set in, and that lets me hold on to it a little longer. So I think I sort of tactically write my first draft when it's still snowing. And I find that we jokingly in our house refer to January and February as one large month called succuary, where everything just gets drawn right out of you and it's horrible and it's dark and it's cold. I live in Ottawa, so it is so dark all the time and cold, and I have a husky, so I have to get up at 5 a.m. anyway to walk him in pitch black. So I try to hold on to it by that mood, I guess, by writing it after Christmas. I don't think I could write a Christmas story during the lead up to Christmas. I'm too busy, and I get Christmased out very quickly with all the other stuff you have to do, like the cards and the wrapping and everything else. So for me, it's a mood I get into post Christmas when I'd like to have that almost nostalgia of the holiday back.
Well, that answered my question about Ottawa because originally I used to live outside of Detroit, and you're right. That January, February, March, boy, it felt like that snow would never end. The cold would never go away. And even this year, I've moved to South Carolina, so I appreciate the sun a lot more. But they had snow in April in Michigan. I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not there. But
Our
yeah,
last snowfall was just May 8th.
yep. There you go. See, it's just extending that feeling. All right. Well, Hildie, what do you do to get in the mood when you're writing your Christmas stories?
You know what? I'm gonna steal his idea and write in January because you're right. You're still feeling that sense of the holidays in January, and wow, I'm gonna do that. I usually write mine probably in the very end of summer, beginning of the fall. So, because I write shorter, usually my Christmas book will be maybe 40 to 50,000. So I have time to write it in the fall when you're starting to prepare for the holidays and you're already like feeling that feeling. But you're right. There's so much going on that sometimes I do. But usually in the fall, unless I have something that are like this year, I'm writing a Christmas story that I'm releasing in November. So yeah, I'll probably start writing it in August. Yeah. So yeah.
So, does that make it hard for you that it's warm outside and sunny? I know you live in a more temperate climate.
Right.
So, does that make it hard for you to write?
Well, it's Georgia. You never know. You never know with the weather here. Sometimes it's 90 degrees in February. So it's kind of hard to gauge it on that. I grew up in California and lived in Hawaii, so the whole season thing is lost on me. So I can make it Christmas anytime. It doesn't really bother me.
There you go. Make it Christmas anytime. Perfect. All right, Elle, what about you? What gets you in the mood to write Christmas stories?
Mostly the weather, but apparently I'm going to come live it with Hildie now because I'm in Winnipeg and she's mentioning all these nice warm climates. Like Nathan, I also write January to April. I'll try and do my first draft because there's snow on the ground. I also have 3 or 4 different Spotify playlists of various Christmas songs, like the traditional one. I've got a cousin who's very involved in the indie music scene, so he's got some very different Christmas songs, but I'll put those on occasion. So those will help set the mood too.
Those playlists are important. I'm usually writing, and right now I'm writing a Christmas story. So I'm writing a Christmas story during the middle of the year, and I don't really do too much to get in the mood, but I do really like Nathan's idea. I think we're all going to steal that idea, Nathan, to go ahead and start writing a little bit earlier when we're feeling that Christmas spirit still so close by. Although, like I said, I'm not going to feel bad because we're not going to have that snow. So it'll be just perfectly fine with me. So you mentioned Elle Christmas music. So what is your favorite Christmas song, Nathan?
Ooh, this is very difficult to answer because I worked retail for about 20 years. So our Spotify Christmas playlist is literally titled Christmas Nathan Can Stand. because they all got played so often. But actually, Sting released an album of Christmas music, and the very first song is a very old song called Soul Cake. And that is probably my number one favorite Christmas song.
I like it. Hildie.
The Mariah Carey Christmas album, the whole thing. Let's see, probably the only thing I like listening to. But I will tell you the one song that annoys me to death, because I have to, it's because I don't know if they played it over and over and over again. It seems Last Christmas with the Wham song. I'm like, oh. It makes no sense to me.
There's some sort of meme and contest going on that everybody avoids that song or tries to hide out from that song throughout the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the Mariah Carey song "All I Want for Christmas Is You," but what else is on that album that you think is really great that we should listen to?
Oh, see, my brain's gonna go blank. I don't know, because I put on the whole thing and listened to the whole. Everything she does on there is really good.
Does she do the traditional ones?
She does traditional ones. She does, All I Want for Christmas. I think there's a couple new ones in there, or not new, because this album, gosh, it came out with maybe 15, 16 years ago now.
Yeah, so, it's the number one. So
yeah, it is. It's good. So I'm gonna have to Google it now to get the song list.
All right, maybe we'll all Google it.
Okay.
All right, Elle, what about you?
My overall favorite Christmas song is "I'll Be Home for Christmas." I just love that one. And I'm very partial to Elvis Presley's Christmas album, because my mom was a massive Elvis fan. And I think it was like my second Christmas, or my second album that I ever owned. The first was Elvis Sings for Children, so I might be a little bit biased. But Blue Christmas, White Christmas, if it has Christmas in the title, I'll listen to it.
You brought back a lot of memories there, Elle, because my mom was a huge Elvis fan too. And my favorite song is Blue Christmas, because, just hearing Elvis sing that, and it's so sad. And, it ties in again with the Christmas TV shows that I used to watch, because, The Year Without a Santa Claus. But so it's just amazing to know that there's so many songs out there about Christmas, and there's new ones being written every year that they inspire us. They bring us an opportunity to feel closer to the writing. So let's go back. You guys have talked about a couple of things like Christmas memories. So what was your favorite Christmas memory, or the one memory of your own Christmas that has stuck out for you? Nathan?
I basically wrote this one right into Handmade Holidays. When I first came out, I was disowned. And when I finally got to have a Christmas tree of my own, I got it secondhand at the mall. It was like the display tree from a Christmas store. And I dragged it all the way home to my tiny little apartment, and I put it up. It didn't have the instructions. It took me forever to put it together. And then I realized I hadn't bought any ornaments. So I had this giant tree in the corner of the apartment and nothing else. And a friend brought over a box of candy canes. So we decorated it with candy canes. And another friend had cross-stitched me this little ornament. And I popped that on there. So I had one ornament on my tree and a whole bunch of candy canes. And it was an accident, but the next year, a coworker was selling handmade glass ornaments for a charity, and I bought one. And I think it was the third year I realized I had bought one ornament, or gotten one ornament for my tree the first 2 years I had it. And I just started a tradition of getting an ornament every year for the tree. And so my favorite Christmas memory is the year I realized the tree was full. And that at that point, I'd met my husband. We'd been married. He had his ornaments and my ornaments, and I included him in the tradition. So his family, my friends have all gotten involved with it. So some years I get more than one because people gift them to us. If we go traveling somewhere, we try to find an ornament for the tree. But when we decorated the tree, it was full. So we had made this entire life ourselves. And that's always my favorite. So decorating the tree is my number one moment.
That is such a touching story. And I think that's so amazing to do that with the ornaments. I know that my kids' grandparents used to get them an ornament every year, and we would fill up the tree. And then when we were done, when the kids have grown up, I've given them their ornaments to take back to theirs and start their own trees with. So I think that those are so touching. I even have a little ornament that was mine when I was a child, and it was like one of those metal ones that you'd get like at the Things Remembered store, and it had my name on it. It's a little angel with a little bell on it. And so I still put that on my tree. And my husband has some ornaments that were his when he was little. And so it's those little pieces that I think are so important for memories. And they do. When you put them on the tree, you sit there and you look at it and you go, oh, this is. Now, which ornament do you look at and go, is it the first one you got? Or is there another one?
I think the one that gets me every year, out of all of them, is a little glass frog that I bought for he was my boyfriend at the time, now he's my husband. The first year that we did a Christmas with his family, I got him a little he likes frogs, and I got him a little glass frog and put it in his stocking. And so that was the first thing he hung on our tree. So that frog every year is my favorite.
That's so sweet. Hildie, what is your favorite Christmas memory?
I don't think any of us will be able to compete with his. That was so sweet and special. Let's see. Well, I grew up in a Hispanic household. My mother is Mexican. I was born in Mexico, so our Christmas traditions were totally different than American traditions. So normally most of our celebration took place on the 24th, and we didn't open gifts until Three Kings Day, which is January 6th. So, our Christmas was totally different. Usually, I think my favorite memories were when I was a teenager. We joined this group at I don't even know. I think we were friends from high school and stuff like that in middle schoolers, and it was maybe 12 of us, 12 or 15 of us, and we did what is called posada, and we had a couple guys that played guitars, and we had a couple of girls that sang really well, and had me who tried to sing. And we would go from house to house and sing outside. It's kind of, La Posada is kind of like caroling, but it's like the tradition of Mary and Joseph trying to find lodging, and people keep turning them away. And in Mexico, everybody knows that you sing a certain thing that says, I'm seeking a place to stay. And the people inside have to reply saying they have no room, right? So you can move on to the next house, but at every house you stop at, they give you hot chocolate or cookies or something like that, and it's part of the festivities. And even though we were in San Diego, we were not in Mexico doing this, most of our neighborhood was Hispanics, and so people knew how to do it. And it was kind of cool to get the Americans involved, because they would learn, the traditions and how to do it as well. So they were part of it as well. So it was cool that we got to stay out past curfew and we could go singing at the houses and, get all this stuff. And people would sometimes they would just give us the neatest stuff, I like the people that were like, yeah, we don't care about your age. Come and get some mulled wine. We're like, yes. They were so excited. I don't think they thought about it, but yeah, it was fun. I think that I will always remember those nights.
That sounds amazing. Did you do anything like that with your children when they were little as well?
I think one Christmas we were home, went back to San Diego for around Christmas time, and they got to participate. They were really little though. But yeah, trying to get American teenagers to do that, no. They were like, no. They think it's a cool tradition. Now that they're older, they're like, wow, that is so cool how you guys did that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I can just see them. I can't sing. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to do this.
I know, but I couldn't sing either, but I didn't care. It was fun.
Well, it's all the special things, the hot chocolate, the mulled wine, all those things that you did in the community. Such a great feeling. Elle, what about you? What was your favorite Christmas memory?
Food. No, Christmas cookies particularly. My sister and I used to make them with my mom all the time, and like my grandma before that would occasionally get to do it. And it continued on into high school, where we needed less supervision. So I can remember one time in high school, I invited my friends over, the girls and the guys, and especially gingerbread, because you got to use all the cookie cutters. So we're cutting out the balls and the bells, and I had a rocking horse and gingerbread men in various sizes. So we're working away and putting them together, and I look over, and it was the boys. Of course it was the boys. They had cut the rocker off the rocking horse, and the head off the gingerbread man, and they made a headless horseman Christmas cookie. Which, my sister's going to kill me. So that was one of the more unique Christmas cookies that we had made, until a couple of years later when my sister invited her friends over and they only made gingerbread men to decorate on the tree. And then, so they baked them and then they iced them and they put them on the tree. And that's when my mom noticed that all the gingerbread men were wearing G-strings. So we still decorate, my boyfriend and I, and we actually do get to put them on the tree, but we have fully dressed gingerbread men.
So what did your mom say when she realized they were wearing G-strings?
Mostly, we can't serve those to company. You better eat them quick.
So funny. I can't believe that. Oh, so amazing. Of course, food plays such an important role in what we're doing during the holidays. I mean, everybody has that famous recipe that they love to do. And I do remember those cookies that we used to make too. You roll them out, the sugar cookies, and you use the different ornament, the different cookie cutters. My favorite memory, though, was we always went to my grandparents on Christmas Eve. And so we would drive back after dark because we had to wait until my dad got back from mass. And then we were over at Grandma and Grandpa's for a while, opening our presents with them. And then after that, we were driving home and it's dark and everybody's lights are on. And we're sitting in the station wagon, in the back of the station wagon. And I'm the oldest of 5 girls. And so we're all small and we're just laying in the seats, kind of like looking out the windows at those lights on everybody's houses. And it's dark and the lights are lit up very neat. And it's just a very magical, quiet time. We've got music on the radio, Christmas songs. And it's just that feeling of family and I guess magic in the air. So it's exciting to see that. We had a question from Chandra Lorraine. She said she's writing an unconventional Christmas reverse harem romance with a fair bit of fantasy and magic in it. What is our favorite bit of magic or fantasy that helps you get into the Christmas spirit? So, is there some magic that helps you get into the Christmas spirit? Nathan, what do you think?
I have a tradition of rewatching the Alistair Sim version of A Christmas Carol. And I love, so I feel like Christmas is one of those times of year where the idea of second chance, but with something supernatural, really gets played a lot. And I love second chance and the supernatural when I'm writing romance. The funny thing is, I just realized now I have never, like, I normally write speculative fiction into everything I write, but both of my Christmas novellas have been contemporary with no magic whatsoever. So now I feel like I need to step up. Yeah, but I would say the idea of ghosts and spirits and people that you thought are gone coming back, guiding you in some way. I think that's my sort of my favorite piece of Christmas magic.
Hildie, what about you? Christmas magic?
I was just thinking while he was talking that I also don't include any kind of magic or fantasy in any of it. Of course, a favorite fantasy to me is Santa Claus. He has to be real. He has to be able to travel and do all those things in one night. And I think it's amazing. But just thinking about that always puts me in the magical spirit of Christmas. I have under my pen name of H.M. McQueen, I have a book called Immortal Spartan. And at the very end, the guys were immortal warriors from all kinds of, one is a Roman, one is a Highlander from from medieval times, one is a cowboy from the 1800s. And anyway, these immortals are at the Spartan's house, and they're decorating a tree. And I think, well, look at that. Isn't that totally fantasy? Not only are they all from different, times, but they all have that one thing in common. So, I think magic and fantasy, when you mix it in with the traditions of Christmas, can only be fun. So go for it. What was her name? Shalane? She should go for it.
Yeah, Chandra.
Yeah, go for it.
So that is so important to think about Santa Claus. I mean, when you have kids, especially, you want them to believe and you want them to feel that way. I used to keep the story alive because my kids would not see Santa Claus give me any presents, so I would tell them that I made the mistake one time of thinking Santa Claus wasn't real, and now he just gave up on me and wouldn't bring me any presents, which was why I kept pushing it for them. You have to believe in him. You have to believe in him, because if the minute you say he's not real, you're getting nothing. So I know, bad mom here. Anyway, hopefully there's no little ones watching that can hear us talking about that. What about you, Elle? What kind of magic and fantasy for Christmas is important?
I don't do a lot of magic stuff, but in my North Pole Unlimited series, there's a few events where stuff just happens. They don't know where it came from, they don't know how people knew. I've got a hired Santa that just showed up at a Christmas party when people were panicking. Um, it doesn't hurt that the family behind the North Pole Unlimited company, they're kind of related to Santa Claus. I don't ever actually come out and say that, but things just happen around them. I think if you want to add in magic or supernatural, it just makes it all the more fun.
There is something about that magic during the season. I mean, it seems like miracles happen all the time. You hear about Christmases where somebody is very sick on their deathbed and something changes. Um, those type of events are fun. And yeah, who knows? I mean, Hildy mentioned Santa Claus, and there is no way for him to go through the entire world hitting every child, and yet he does. And so I think that's certainly a part of it. And I do agree that when you're including magic at this time of year, there could be no stopping you. I mean, we have those serendipitous moments, but we also have that coming together of community. And as Nathan mentioned, a made family or a found family as opposed to your regular family. And those things, those people who make those important pieces of your life become magic, and they make it a part of it. So that was a great question. Thank you, Chandra, for sharing that with us. So let's talk about, we've talked about, writing Christmas stories. What about the best gift you've ever received? I mean, there are so many times it's hard to remember what was the best gift. And it's probably like feeling like, you have to pick your favorite child or your favorite book. But what is a gift that maybe is memorable or something that you found to be really important to you? How about it, Nathan?
Oh, okay. So the same Christmas where I got my future husband a little glass frog, my sister-in-law, who, surprise, also gay. So my sister-in-law and her girlfriend at the time, and my boyfriend at the time all had these matching house coats that my mother-in-law had made. She'd sort of embroidered their names on them. They're these lovely house coats. And so we hosted Christmas the first year we were together. We hosted Christmas at our house because I was still working retail, so I had 12 hours off in the middle. And they all came over, and they were wearing they actually got changed back into their pajamas and house coats, all of them. And I was like, oh geez. And then my mother-in-law handed me a present, and it was a matching house coat. She'd made one for me as well. And that was just, yeah, that was magical. Hands down, that was just the best feeling.
So do you still have this house coat?
It eventually got it's been 15, 16 years. So no, I mean, it's still in the closet, but we have new house coats since then. But yeah, and again, it gets to -40 here and stays -40 for a really long time. So you wear your big fluffy house coats a lot. It's not the kind of thing you just wear for a few moments. And yeah, they do wear out.
Oh, well, that's a sweet story. How about it, Hildie? What's your favorite gift that you received?
There's many good gifts, but I think I remember one that really stands out to me, and it's kind of funny and comical. So we had Christmas, my daughters were over, and my husband was there. We were all sitting there, and he's like, well, did you see your last gift? You still have one more gift. I'm like, what? And he was like, I couldn't wrap it, it's too big. And I'm like, where is it? And he's like, it's right, it's here. And so I'm looking around, and I walk around, and I don't see anything. He's talking about something big. I look at the tree, I go around to the kitchen, come back. I'm like, I don't see it. And he's like, look on your desk. So I look on my desk, I'm looking around, still don't see it. Then finally they give up. And he had bought me an iMac. But the reason I didn't see it because my monitor was big. And so I just assumed it was my normal monitor. And the reason it touched me so much wasn't the fact that it was obviously a very nice gift, but the fact that it just reinforced the fact that he supports my writing career and me staying home, and he believes in me enough to say, you know, you're doing this and keep doing it. And to me, it just felt like it was so supportive of him in that he has always been since the beginning. When I had doubts and I didn't want to stop, my job went away as a contractor for the military. And after 30 some years with the military, it's hard to start over. And he's like, just stay home, do this, right. And then, when he did that for me, it was just such a reinforcement of his belief in what I do. And that's why it touched me so much.
That is so very sweet and so memorable. And of course, he hides the presents really well, I guess, huh? You go right in front there.
It was
You didn't see.
sight. My daughters were laughing so hard. They're like, Mom, really? And I'm like, what? Where is it? And then I looked at him. I'm like, did you do something to yourself? I just couldn't figure it out.
Well, and I think that is such a wonderful tribute. Many of us authors need somebody in our corner like that, whether it's a husband or a friend or someone that is giving us that support, saying, yes, you can do this, because the doubts creep in and all of that happens. So what a wonderful husband, and what a wonderful present.
Yeah, it was.
All right, Elle, what about you? Favorite present?
I feel so bad that I don't have such great stories as Nathan and Hildie. I can't really think of a super standout present. My favorite ones are ones that mostly that I've asked for and that I get a lot of use out of. Like one year, my absolute favorite present was a set of oven mitts and track pants, because that's what I really, really wanted and needed that year. So I don't have any really good stories, except for the knitting stuff I got. Knitting stuff is always appreciated this time of my life.
Do you find that it's hard because, you're very practical in that, oh, I want these things. I don't need the extravagant things. I need these things. Or do you think that it's more like they just don't know what to get you? Or
I give very detailed lists, so I think I lean I lean towards the practical. And I'm also old enough and I have enough stuff that I'm starting to lean more towards the experience presents. So a couple of years ago, my boyfriend and I decided to go to the UK. We've always wanted to go. So our physical presents got smaller as we saved for the trip. So it was like a delayed present for us. So that would be a very good one.
yeah, a trip like that, boy, just the experience alone. And I think that's important when you can go to places like, that you've always wanted to go to. And it just enhances your writing even. And you can throw some things in that you saw there, right?
That's the plan. And we got so lucky doing it last summer as opposed to trying to do anything this year.
Yes, because all of those plans are all changed right now. Well, like you, Elle, I don't have one present that is just like the very best or outstanding. The one that always strikes me, though, is the memory that I had from when I was a kid. And being that we were 5 girls, Grandma couldn't just get one Barbie van for us. We each had to have our own Barbie van. So this was like the Barbie motorhome, the big pink one. So there are 5 of them at our house, and we each have one, and we're all opening these presents and looking at these boxes and opening them up. And then we have these big caravans of Barbie van motorhome things sitting out with all of our Barbies. And we're in the living room with them, and then we're in the family room with them. And it's just that, I guess, that feeling of sharedness, of being together, and being with my sisters, that memory of that time. As we're older, it's harder. My sisters live in various different states and we don't see each other. So those little memories from back then are so important for me, because, it's what I hoped to give to my kids as they were growing up, that feeling. But, you can't recreate it as an adult, which is sad. So, all right. So we've been talking a lot about our writing and Christmas. Is there any hints that you would give someone when writing a Christmas story? Not just writing a story. I mean, you can do that. What is it that you find successful about writing? But is there any hints that you would give someone who is out there writing a Christmas story right now to, maybe it's advice, maybe it's something that you learned, maybe it's a trick, So, what is something you could tell our other friends out there about being an Christmas author, Nathan?
I think the thing that I would probably, because again, we all have that imposter syndrome, I'm no good instinct that hits us sometimes. I would say that Christmas holiday readers are, especially in romance, are some of the most forgiving readers out there. Like the people who pick up a Christmas romance story, they know that they're getting that little slice of magic, maybe, or that it's all going to work out in the end. Plus, plus, like even beyond the romance, happy ever after. There's a lot of happiness coming their way with this story. So I think I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not easy to write ever. But I think maybe keeping in mind that the readership for Christmas holiday stories and holiday romances specifically is actually really willing to buy in. Like you can have the character named Nick and the heroine named Carol, and you can do all those things. And it would be kind of schmaltzy if you tried to do it in a non-Christmas setting with it. Maybe even with a different holiday, it wouldn't work. But for some reason, with Christmas romance, they're just willing to buy it.
One of the things I find too is that there are people who will read Christmas books nonstop during the month of December. So not only are they more forgiving and more, but by writing a Christmas story, there's almost a guaranteed reader because there are groups of people who just, that's all they want to do, like the Hallmark Channel. That's all they want to do during that holiday season from, like Thanksgiving on is read Christmas. So it's certainly something I think any writer should try. What do you think, Hildie?
Definitely. Use it to your advantage. I think one of the things that that's should definitely, and it's easier to do, and I think in a Christmas story, especially to include and use the current your world as a character. Include all the smells and the feels and the sensations and the air of whatever is going on. The happiness, the sounds, everything. The world can be a major character in a Christmas story, and it'll make it even more special because then the reader will sense like they're part of it. Yeah, in most stories we do include the world, but I think at Christmas time especially, it's really important to include that. Don't forget to add, jingle bells in the background or Christmas carols in the background or the smell of whatever is baking as you walk past somewhere or you see someone and you notice that what they're wearing a Christmas sweater. The whole world as a character in a Christmas story is so very important, and it'll add that extra touch to your story because then you feel like you're even more involved and get even more into the spirit of the holiday.
I agree 100%. I mean, even at your homes during the holidays, there's different smells. You've got music on in the background. Maybe you've got your tree up, so there's some lights. So definitely include that in your writing. Great. Elle, what do you think?
I agree with Hildie. I personally have a list of all I'm going to call them Christmas tropes, everything that goes on at Christmas. The mistletoe, the sleigh rides, the snowman building. And I picked 2 or 3 of my favorites and I'll put them into a book. And because I truly love them, I think that enjoyment of them comes out on the pages. And a second thing is, Nathan knows this. I'm a huge fan of Nathan's books. I just adore his Christmas books. They're just wonderful. So I know for a fact that both of us write novella-length Christmas books. I don't know, Hildie and Melissa, what lengths you are, but novella lengths, so about 100 pages, are really good for holiday novellas because I can sit down and read these in an evening or two during a very busy time of year.
And that's funny because 99% of my books are about that length because I do find that people are busy these days and they don't have time to sit down, but especially during the holidays. And so it makes it harder for them to find that few minutes. And it's so important that they get away and have that time and that they read. And this is so cute that you're Nathan's fan. And I think that's the piece that I love most about authors is we're fans of each other. And when we see each other at signings or we do these kind of events, we get to go, yay, I get to see, Hildie, or, oh, I get to see meeting you and Nathan are brand new authors to me. So I'm excited to see what you guys are doing. We just have a few more minutes that we're going to wrap up. So I really want to get everybody a chance to talk once more about where our readers can find you, what you've got releasing soon, or maybe your latest release, something that you've got, and if you've got any giveaways or special things going on if people sign up for your newsletter. So let's begin with Nathan and share some information.
Hi. So one of the really nice things about having a surname like Burgoine is if you look up Nathan Burgoine, that's me. So if you go to nathanburgoine.com, it'll bounce you to everything, my Facebook, Twitter, all of that sort of social media stuff. Right now, I actually don't have anything coming out because we rescued a dog last year, a wonderful husky. We love him to death, but he managed to blow the tendons in my left arm. He saw a squirrel, went running around me in the middle of winter. I nearly fell down. It yanked my arm a certain way. I can't type right now. So I don't actually have anything on the horizon. My most recent was Faux Ho Ho, which actually came out last December, my holiday novella. So I'm afraid I'm a little light on the stuff I can tell you is coming. I am still trying to write, and it's probably all going to be novella length on the horizon. I had intended to release a April Fool's Day holiday novella, but all that's on back right now. So fingers crossed it will come out before the end of the year.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that about your arm and the writing. Hopefully you can get some more help with that. I see in your future that maybe there should be some dragon speakies, or maybe that husband can do some typing for you or dictation. You can hire him. Certainly the dog's not going to do it because, he's just not able to do it. So if people find you on their website, would you like them is there a way to sign up for a newsletter? Is there anything special that they can?
You know what? I'm terrible. I don't have a newsletter yet. All I have basically is my blog, and I do actually do a project right now. I'm talking about a different short story, novella, or novelette every day. So there's a review of a short story on my blog absolutely every day this year, and novellas as well. And oddly enough, once December hits, they'll probably all be Christmas novellas, which won't be a shock to anyone. But yes, that's the place to find me.
Well, wonderful. And that sounds great because you're exposing your readers and fans to so many different stories. So appreciate all that you're doing there. Hildie, what do you got coming up?
I have a book called Pearl. It's a part of this series called the Angel Creek Brides. Last year it was, what was her name? Well, I just went blank on her name. Anyways, I will put both of those bride stories up. And so Pearl is coming out in November, like I said earlier, and it's about a woman that comes to this town out west and ends up marrying a local there during the Christmas season. I will start writing it in August. It'll probably be novella length, like most people say, about 40,000 words. I also will be listing how to sign up for my newsletter. I do one a month. I want to do more, but I never get around to it. So I do a newsletter once a month, and when you sign up for my newsletter, you get a free book. So that's pretty cool. And then if you want to hear me and do my shenanigans and follow me, I am very active on Facebook. I love Instagram, but I'm always on Facebook every day. I do some time on there, so lots of fun stuff.
Well, thank you. I know people will be anxious to see what happens with Pearl, and of course, all of your Highlander romances as well.
Thank you.
So, Elle, how can people find you?
I've got oh my goodness, I need more tea. I've got my website, which is ellerush.com. I have a newsletter, and you will get a free short story for signing up, but I do it in batches, so it might take me a couple of weeks to get to. You can always find me on Twitter. It's my preferred platform at Elle_Rush. What I'm working on. My second book in my Hopewell Millionaire series came out earlier this month. I'm hoping to have a third one this fall. Thank you. And then my fifth North Pole Unlimited book will be coming out in November. Jilly is a matchmaker and pot stirrer, and she's finally getting hers this year. And then in 2021, I'm actually launching a new series. It's for all holidays. So with Nathan, if he gets his April 1st book out, it'll be great, because I just think Christmas is great, but all holidays should be celebrated as well. So I don't have any books on sale right now. I believe the Christmas one will be on sale oh my goodness, Morty. I should have a Christmas book on sale on Kobo 1 week in June, but I don't have the dates handy. It'll be on my blog, my website.
Well, and definitely people are going to want to check out your recipe book, because now that we've heard about all the yummy food that you talk about, we definitely want to get those recipes as well. So that'll be fun. We had a question real quick from, is it Chandra again? She wanted to know, when is the best time to publish a Christmas story? Is it around Halloween, Thanksgiving, December 1st, or in July? So Nathan, what do you think? Is there a good time to do that?
I launched Fo Ho Ho December 1st. But I know that as a holiday reader, I go looking for them as soon as the sort of season hits me, which here in Canada is generally when I start thinking about Christmas after Remembrance Day, so mid-November. So I think anytime around mid-November on, you're probably solid.
Hildie, what do you think? Would you think there's a certain time?
I think in the United States, right after Halloween, people start thinking, about Christmas time and Christmas shopping, and a lot of November for us has 2 holidays, so 2 long weekends, because we have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, so people like to read there and they start getting in the mood. So yeah, if you don't do it by beginning of November, I agree with Nathan, mid-November for sure.
One thing to keep in mind is Nathan and I are Canadian, but in the States, there's going to be an election at the beginning of November. Do not release your book on election day. I'm speaking from experience. It's a bad thing. So either a week before, or I'm aiming for a week after the election date.
Oh yes, you're right about that. Yeah, the beginning of November this year will probably the first 2 weeks of November, because of so many mail-in ballots. Yeah, probably not a good time. I would say probably early October then.
And that's what I found to be the case. Is I try and do the Christmas release sometime in October. It gives it a chance to pick up speed for November. And that way by December, the people who are purchasing it. And then we've also got, Black Friday in there and things. Do you guys ever run specials on your Christmas stories during that time, or do you run those during the July?
When they go on sale, but Nine Star always does, or I shouldn't say always, has done Christmas in July, and Bold Strokes tends to do a holiday sale as well. So I think they do. I have zero control over it.
Hildie, what are your insights on that?
I'm doing like the Angel Creek Brides, which, by the way, my book's name was Ruby and Pearl coming out. So I will be putting in July Ruby on sale, just to get more eyes on it, and then usually right before the other one publishes, whenever I release a Christmas book, I will put the ones from the year before on sale.
All right. Elle, what do you think? Is there a good time?
Yeah. Last year I had 4 in my series. This year I'll have 5. So I will probably put my first book either on sale or for free for a few days in December, just to try and jumpstart the series and introduce it to readers who are looking for Christmas books at that time of year.
Great, thank you. I hope that everybody who's been watching us today gained some insights and got to know a little bit more about our awesome readers here. My name again was Melissa Keir, and I was your moderator, and you can find me at melissakeir.com. And I really enjoyed getting together with all of you guys, and and meeting Nathan and Elle and learning more about this. And I think that Christmas is such a special time of year, and there is magic in the air. And so hopefully we'll have lots of readers who are interested in reading those holiday romances that we're talking about. And I hope that the rest of your summer, all you authors, and has a wonderful summer, and maybe we can get a little bit more back to normal here and get out and do some shopping and buy some actual paperback books in stores and enjoy the time on the beaches. So thank you all for coming today. Thank you so much for being here and answering these awesome questions. Take care. Bye.